Welcome ready to another edition of TEW 2020 here on the channel, and as you can see, we're not doing WCW 2005 at the moment, or we're not doing a Journey from Wrestling, but we're coming back to Ring of Honor. So it's been a little while since I've actually done a video of this in life, but to recap for anybody who's unaware, basically the idea here is instead of going to WWE or staying in AEW, instead Cody somehow finds funding to buy Ring of Honor, and as a result, he has to make some agreements to not sign anybody away, and everything else, but he has the Ring of Honor roster as it was basically at the end. So we've done a few months here, and now we're leading to Final Battle, as this is the last show before Final Battle, which is Honor for All, and we're going to have a little over 2,500 people in beautiful Manhattan, New York. And who opens Honor for All? None other than your 2022 Survival of the Fittest of the Winter, the King of the Indies, Matt Cardona, coming out to the boos of the crowd here in Manhattan, as he says, it's finally good that there's a true elite athlete such as myself, the Survival of the Fittest winner, and the reality is, yes, I have a world title match against Jonathan Gresham. But here's the thing, Jonathan. I really want to sit in the back 3 hours just for what we all know is going to happen. So how about this? Tonight, you just come out here, you get your ass kicked, and then me and my babe, as he points over the shell screen, can just walk out of here with your ROH title, and all of you smart marks can wallow in your own tears. Of course, Jonathan Gresham, because he's a proud warrior babyface, comes out for the match, ready to fight. But who comes from behind, of course, is his stablemates, is Cardona's stablemates, Dango Curtis and Aaron Stevens, who come in and attack Gresham from behind, knock him down, and the refs go to wave off the match until later, but Gresham still wants to fight, and the match is on, as this gets a 37. Cardona was pretty good, but again, not the best opener, but it sets things up, as we then have our opening match for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. And here's the thing, it's a very solid match here. Cardona is a solid wrestler. Jonathan Gresham is actually a really great wrestler. But unfortunately, tonight's not the night for a really great wrestler, especially after getting his ass kicked by two men. But Gresham valiantly fights, but in the end, Cardona's a little bigger, and he's willing to take shortcuts. He's willing to throw Gresham around, and Gresham does his best and actually gets a fiery, sort of babyface finish here, battling against Cardona, even getting him in a sort of octopus stretch. But Chelsea Green managed to get her man's foot on the ropes. That breaks the hold. Gresham gets upset. That allows Cardona to take over, and eventually, Cardona gets the pinfall victory right in the middle of the ring. And your winner, and new Ring of Honor World Champion, is Matt Cardona. This gets a 59, Gresham gets a 65, Cardona gets a 46. Again, not the best worker in the ring, but there's a reason for this, as of course, Cardona takes the mic afterwards, and you notice I'm not saying next for a reason here, as he says, after such men as CM Punk, Samoa Joe, Eddie Edwards, and even you, Jonathan Gresham, have held this belt, it's time that Ring of Honor finally has an entertaining champion that can actually bring a worldwide audience to this little rinky-dink company. Boo. And then cue Cody coming out. And Cardona's like, Cody, I don't know if you remember, because you're probably so loopy from happening, but I pinned you. You're not in line for anything. And Cody's like, you're right. I'm not in line for a title shot, Matt. And you're the new champion, but I understand wanting to go off with your wife and celebrate. I've done that before after I became world champion here in Ring of Honor. But how about this? If you want to prove yourself to really shut these fans up so that they can't deny that you're the man here in Ring of Honor, there's somebody in the back who wants to face you for the title. No, it's not me. And I'll even put a little sweetener. It's nobody in the back who has gotten a title shot so far this year. So who could that be? Now, you don't want everybody to think, Matt, that you just won this title off a lucky after having your buddies attack, and you're a paper champion. Hell, I might even go up to the board of directors and see if they could strip you of the title. Cardona gets pissed about this and says, Cody, fine. I'm in the ring tonight like the true top-tier athlete I am, as a leader of Egomax, and I'll take out whoever you put in front of me, and I'll still walk out of here as world champion, and next month in Final Battle, out on the year as champion. And Cody's like, fine, and then some interesting music hits, and out comes none other than Kofi. Yeah, Kofi's been released from his WWE contract ran out. I assume in real life he has like 18 million years on it, but it ran out. He's a decent price, so I signed him. Gave him his basically his real name, because I didn't want to do a gimmick name. And actually, Kofi Naji is a pretty good wrestling name. So he just comes out, crowd pops huge, and we have a big main event tonight of Matt Cardona versus Kofi for the WWE for the Ring of Honor Championship. So Kofi debuted. His Kofi gimmick is very good. Yeah, so there we go. 59. And yeah, big time main event there. And then we move forward to our actual card. As we have our opener, which is of course the last Proving Grounds match of the year, as it's Dak Draper taking on world famous CB, Andrew Everett, and Aaron Solo in a elimination match. Ignore the order of elimination here, so I'll just go over it. So basically what happens here is early on, unfortunately for Aaron Solo, is that Andrew Everett is able to get a few big moves, and the big dog gets the pinfall victory in a couple minutes. But then Draper and world famous CB team up on Everett, and Everett is the first man eliminated, so he has a point. And then, so CB and then fight for a couple minutes, but eventually Draper takes advantage in the end and gets the big pinfall victory to go over the 12-point level and wins the match here in a little over 13 minutes. This gets a 46 overall. Dak Draper gets a 31. Andrew Everett, who's probably overqualified for this division, and I might move him out after the new year, but I put him in here, so there we go. Gets a 54. World famous CB gets a 34, and Aaron Solo gets a 31. And so overall, this means our final scores is at the bottom: Ninja Mac 1, Aaron Solo 4, and Elam Isom 5, and then world famous CB 8, Andrew Everett 9, Blake Christian 11, and Dak Draper 16. That means Ninja Mac versus Aaron Solo will be at Final Battle. Oh no, sorry. It'll be Ninja Mac. Whoops, that's some spoilers. Ninja Mac versus Aaron Solo versus Eli Isom at Final Battle, and the two men, basically, whoever wins the match saves their Ring of Honor contract. Whoever loses is out of the company. But of course, as you can expect, after the match, Dak Draper, cocky, takes the mic and basically says, "This is what I've been working out for all year. Homicide, I never should have been part of this Proving Grounds, so I want your ass at Final Battle." And Homicide basically agrees, says Homicide stuff, and it looks like we're going to have a fight at Final Battle between the rising star Dak Draper and the big veteran Homicide. So there we go. And remember, the gimmick here is that, Homicide is sort of in charge of the Proving Grounds, so you have to beat him to get out of him. So this gets a 40, fun stuff. And then moving forward, we have our women's tag match. And unfortunately, KILYNN and KILYNN ALIZE doesn't work as a team. But I mean, this actually works out. Because basically, here's the thing, our ROH Women's World Champion, DEONNA PURRAZZO, and her new bodyguard, LINA, FANENE, just sort of run over them. They get their spots in, and King, is a tough girl, and Liz has her moments, but, this is basically a quasi-squash. And eventually, FANENE gets Liz up and Samoan drop, 1, 2, 3, in a little under 10 minutes. This gets a 39, Lina gets a 36, DEONNA gets a 54 because she's great, Liz gets a 23, and King gets a 26. But then, post-match, Willow Nightingale runs in from the crowd and goes after DEONNA from behind, and gets a few big blows in before eventually Lina comes in and boots her, and it looks like it's going to be another beatdown. But KILYNN King and Miranda ALIZE, and then surprisingly, Mandy Leon and Angel Williams both also come out and sort of run off the heels. And it looks like the women babyfaces have sort of teamed up here to take on Lina and, of course, the queen of the division, DEONNA PURRAZZO. So let's see what happens from there. As it gets a 25, not the best thing, but hey, it's an undercard. Got to build up these women somehow, right? Then we move forward to our North American Championship match, as Rich Swann take on Samurai Del Sol. This was set up when Samurai Del Sol defeated Rich Swann in the Survival of the Fittest tournament. And this is honestly, this is a very good match. This is a great match. This might be better than a lot of other matches on the show, but it's just two great, high-flying spotty workers just flying all around. But eventually, Rich Swann hits a few big moves in a row, and eventually gets the big pinfall victory here, making his first defense of the North American title. This gets a 61. Rich Swann gets a 61. Samurai Del Sol gets a 50. Fun stuff. And post-match, Swann celebrates with the title with a 54. And after that, we have an interesting tag team match as the Original Kingdom of Matt Cardona and Michael Bennett, along with Maria, come out and they face the surprising team of Dalton Castle and Joey Janela. Of course, this has nothing to do with the fact that I have nothing to do with these two guys, but these guys sort of work as character undercard baby faces, so they come out on this team and they're doing pretty well, but eventually the talent and the long teaming of Bennett and Taven take over here, along with a little bit of distraction from Maria. I'm sure there's a spot where Maria tries to distract Dalton, but it doesn't work because he's Dalton and she's Maria, and if there are boys there, however. But again, in the end, still, despite that, Michael Bennett eventually gets the win over Joey Janela with a divine intervention. This gets a 50, perfectly solid mid-card tag match. Janela gets a 34, Castle gets a 47, Michael Bennett gets a 50, and Matt Taven gets a 42. And post-match, the OGK make the bell motions, as the announcers, of course, put over the fact that now that the Briscoes are no longer the champions, the OGK are no longer banned from getting title shots, as this gets a 31, as it's just a post-match little celebration. And then we have a big singles match here as Chris Bay and LIO RUSH team face off. Of course, they teamed up for a little while before. Has nothing to do with the fact that I realized they were faces and heels. So I broke them up with no real explanation. So now they're facing off after they did have a big match at the last show and getting involved with each other. But in the end, Chris Bay gets the big win here again in a little 13 minutes. Again, this is this is just two guys flying around. This is a pure spots match. This is a match Jim Cornette would despise, but it would still be fun here. As it gets a 53, Bay eventually gets the win. Bay gets a 47, LIO RUSH gets a 49. Solid stuff here. But in the end, it is what it is. Big pinfall victory for Chris Bay, as he's got a win over Bandito and LIO RUSH in consecutive months, and he seems to be on a bit of a roll here. And post-match, Bay basically, tries to talk LIO RUSH, saying, we work well together. Come on, man, you can't stop listening to his fans so we can get back with each other. And Rush, it looks like he's thinking about it, but then he punches Bay, and the brawl is back on, as this gets a 46. And they're like, this battle between these two men are not over yet. Then we have a big tag team match as the Briscoes take on the Ego Max of Aaron Stevens and Dango Curtis. And, ouch, first of all, for Aaron Stevens. But, this is a fun little tag match. The Briscoe brothers do Briscoe brothers. They battle, they brawl, they hit big moves. But, Dango Curtis and Aaron Stevens, they'll be telling you they're not the most talented wrestlers in the world, but they think they're the most intelligent wrestlers in the world, teaming with Matt Cardona. And they know their way around the wrestling ring, as they are veterans. Eventually, they do just enough cheating, bending on the rules to take advantage. And then the big thing here is eventually some plunder gets involved. The heels take advantage of it, and Dango Curtis is able to hit Jay Briscoe with a couple big moves and eventually get the pinfall victory after a distraction, allowing the heels to take advantage. And they get a big win here, as this gets a 49, Jay Briscoe gets a 59, Mark Briscoe gets a 51, Aaron Stevens gets a 41, Dango Curtis gets a 35, and Aaron Stevens suffered a mild shoulder separation, which, ow. And then the heels escape to the boos of the crowd as it gets a 37. Then we have an interesting segment, as out comes none other than Vincent, Butch, and Bateman, your ROH 6-man world champions. Yeah, I didn't realize either. And they basically cut a promo saying, ever since Ring of Honor Rio Standard, they've heard nothing from anybody. But yet they have these belts, so they're here a month before Final Battle to want a challenge in that ring, because they are the righteous and they are here for a fight. And out comes Cody Rhodes, and Cody says, okay, I'll be honest, this was my mess up. I totally overlooked. You guys had the belts and they were still under contract. Look, these things. But if you want to fight, well, I got two partners, and Camarado and Anthony Ogo back up, and we have a 6-man tag match. So this gets a 34 because, well, these guys, I'll be honest, I did forget I still had them. And also, they're meh. Anthony and Nick are at least young. And it's a fun little undercard 6-man tag match. Match was too short or important because Cody was involved, but like everybody here except for Cody was not important. This is I'm not going to say quite a squash match, but I'm sure Cody did almost nothing in this match. And in the end, like, Ogo and Komodo do most of the work, like learning how to work, and Ogo eventually gets the win over Bateman, getting submission. This gets a 38. Kamamoto gets a 24. Ogo gets a 21. Cody gets a 56, which I'm sure was mostly just him, like, you know, doing basically, you know, Cody charismatic stuff on the ringside apron. Bateman gets a 32. Dash gets a 25. And Vincent gets a 30. And the Nightmare Factory and Cody celebrate with 6-man tag belts. And honestly, that'll probably, well, there's a reason for them winning 6-man tag belts for storyline reasons. But after that, I don't know how much longer they'll be around, honestly, as this gets a 43 as they celebrate. And then after the match, next up, Wreck Stuff, the team of Maxie Impaler and Trish Adora come out, and they want a true battle as they've run over everybody that's in front of them. And out comes none other than Allison Kay and Marty Bell, the Hex, mostly from Impact, but they're here for a fight, and the battle's on. This gets a 31. Fun stuff. And then they just have a brawl. Like, ooh, okay. I thought, okay, damn it. Well, I mean, honestly, okay, let me see. This got a 27, so this would have got a 30. Obviously, this isn't perfect math, but it's like decent math usually. So 34. So we only lost like 5 points for the crappy finish, which, you know, for sort of a mid-card match like this isn't the end of the world. But yeah, basically they just fight. Like, things are never really under control. Eventually, things just get tossed out for a double countout, and they just continue to fight afterwards. This is a 27. Trish Adora gets a 26. Maxine Pillar gets a 34. Marty Bell gets a 26, and Allison Kay gets a 42. And post-match, they continue to fight to a 27. Fun stuff. And next up is our big tag title match, as it's I can't talk today. The Motor City Machine Guns, there we go, defending their tag team titles against none other than the ROH Legend team of Eddie Edwards and Homicide. You know, honestly, this is just like I had nobody else built up for the tag titles, so why not throw 2 big single stars in there? Eddie, of course, used to be part of American Wolves, and I'm sure Homicide had the tag belts at one point, or a big tag match. Who knows? Anyway, it's a pretty good match here. Like, not like top tier stuff, as Homicide is getting old, which is why I'm moving him into the Proving Ground spot. But yeah, it's a fun match. You know, Homicide brawls, Eddie gets hit some big spots and turn the clock back a bit, but Machine Guns eventually, you know, the reason why they basically came back and were almost immediately one of the best tag teams in the business, and they eventually hit the Made in Detroit after a few big moves and pick up their first defense of the tag titles here. Like I said, this gets a 56, Homicide gets a 32, Eddie Edwards gets a 49, Chris Sabin gets a 47, and Alex Shelley gets a 57 because he's freaking great. And post-match, there's handshakes all around as the crowds pop for the 4 independent legends here. And it's time for our main event. Kofi comes out to a big pop as, you know, this gets a 58. And then, you know, this is a back and forth match. Like, you know, Cardona, he's an asshole. He hates Ring of Honor, the style of wrestling here, the fact that Cody's in charge, and that he's being overshadowed as a true king of the independents, even now more with Kofi coming out. But he still is very solid, a very good wrestler. There's a reason why he's won so many matches. But you know, he does his best here, but Kofi is a little quicker, a little better, and with basically, you know, the officials ready for any interference Ego Max after, oops, let me try hitting that again. After a little under 15 minutes, Kofi hits a Trouble in Paradise right in the middle of the ring, and with nowhere to go, with nobody save him. 1, 2, 3. Your new ROH World Champion is Kofi Nahaje. This gets a 47. Again, not the best, but Kofi gets a 51. Cardona gets a 46. It was a little short for a world title match. Was there anything really that hurt it? Kofi declined physical ability. Honestly, I might take off unable to use some vital impact moves because this is ROH, baby. We'll break some necks. But 47, and post-match, babyfaces celebrate. You know, Cody, Kofi, Motor City Machine Guns, Eddie Edwards, Homicide. Everybody celebrating ROH World Title back in the right hands. And out comes Jonathan Gresham, who basically points at Kofi, and Kofi nods, and there's your ROH World Title match. And this gets a 56. And overall, this show gets us a 46. Okay, that's what I figured. So Alex fucking Shelley. Jonathan Gresham actually did really well, so There you go. And of course, for wrestling twice, you get a hug. So we'll see if there's any interesting mail after this, and then we'll go over a roster, and then we'll go around the rest of the world, because the AI has been the AI. So as this loads, Warhead, not Warlow, or Warhorse. Okay, that was weird. It did a little bit of an error here. Nothing in the world. Okay, pretty good. Any email here? Aaron Stevens. Okay. I'm going to guess this was a... Okay, yeah. It'll be out for till the next show. Not the end of the world. Okay. So yeah, fun stuff there. I'm having a complete blank. Right, okay. So, let's look at our roster. Let's look at first stars, which of course, sure, is just going to be Cody. Yep. All right. So popular-wise, Cody's still at stuck at a 60, because of course he is. Like, yeah. I mean, I could have him go out there and cut a 10-minute promo and do a Cody thing. Okay, Kofi's here, and yeah, his popularity's not as great as you would want, but still pretty solid. 48 isn't bad for our size. Well known. We got Alex Shelley, who's up a little bit from when he debuted. Aaron Stevens, same thing. Yeah, Aaron Stevens up. So yeah, these guys are getting built on the undercard. I think Eddie is down a bit. Yeah, he started at 40. He's doing some jobs because, like, you know, Jay Briscoe. Ooh, like Briscoe's interesting because like he's over in some places but not in others. So yeah. Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan. Okay. See, hey, this is again. Sometimes it's pretty simple. You just have him beat people and he gets more over. I mean, he's still like, you know, not, you know, I wish he would have been this over at the start of the save. But, you know, you do what you can do. Lina, of course, is pretty over, you know, down a little bit, mainly just because she's against, like, you know, lower card people. Matt Cardona, same thing. You know, he's up a couple points. So, like, he's a, you know, viable top heel. And then we got Rich Swann, who's up, you know, a couple points. I'm sure, like, of course, this is also the work they're doing in Impact or wherever, but, you know, I've given myself most of the credit. For recognizable folks, okay, so Allison Kay comes in at a 31. Chris Bay, let's see here. He was at a 23, 26, 20. And, yeah, he's up quite a bit. But, again, I'll be fair and say this is also due to working on Impact. Let's see here. Chris Sabin is up more than a few points, so there you go. Dango, let's see here. I mean, yeah, he's up, and he got a solid 5 point from beating Briscoes. Kylie Ray, who I forgot I have. Like, have I done anything with her? No. Okay, that's actually bad. That's something I'm gonna have to fix. Yeah, I totally forgot I had her, which is not great. Bad, Jesse. Anyway, so LIO RUSH, still, you know, did the job, but still perfectly solidly over. Master Rhode was not on the show, but I'll have something for him next month. And then we got Taven and Bennett, so a little bit of a rise, but yeah, still needed quite a bit more. And then for our unimportant folks, who do we care about? Let's see here. Anthony Ogogo. Like, how much more did you go up from the tag titles? Not much because, well, you faced a bunch of dorks. Dak Draper. Let's see here. Like, up a little bit. Hey, Davey, you're unimportant now. I don't care about you, so... Well, you can still do jobs on the pre-show. DEONNA, unfortunately... I bet if we fixed her momentum, she'd be over enough to be at least recognizable, but this is something we'll have to work on. And then everybody else is, yeah, still just sort of there. Samurai Del Sol, unfortunately, same thing, cool momentum, so that's probably half of it, so we'll have to work on fixing that. But again, not the end of the world, you know, for any of this stuff, and we're doing decently. Size-wise, again, tracking progress. We're still down a bit in the Mid-Atlantic, but we're up in the Southeast, up in New England, up in Mid-Atlantic, up in the Great Lakes, and up everywhere else. So we're slowly getting there, even as we drop with the where we're probably overrated, honestly. Have some stables. They don't really matter. I mean, you can sort of figure them out. Creative-wise, again, Cody's our only franchise players. LIO Rush is our next big thing. Hot prospects is Leo, Chris Bay, Danny Jordan, who I should probably figure out something to do. Eli who, honestly, he just looks goofy. And KILYNN King. Talk to Talk is still Cody, Jay Briscoe, Aaron Stevens, Maria Dalton. Showstoppers, Kofi goes in that number 2 spot immediately because he's Kofi. Ring Generals. Ooh, interesting. Kofi's not on here. Weird. But yeah, so that's how things are in this neck of the woods. Now we'll move on and look at the rest of the wrestling world for a little overview, just to see the interesting stuff the game has done. So first, WWE, they had Clash of the Champions. Main event was Roman versus Kevin Owens in a 90. We had Braun Strowman defeated Brian Cage and Sami Zayn defeat the IC title. See, anybody unhappy about Sami being tag team with Kevin? He could be jobbing to Braun Strowman and Brian Cage. Happy Corbin defeated Kane. I might actually go in and retire Kane because there's no reason he should be pushed. The Usos defeated the Viking Raiders. Okay, instead of being part of the hottest storyline in wrestling in a decade, you're doing matches with the Viking Raiders. Cesaro and Ray Jr. defeated Penta. Oh yeah, also Penta's contract ran out and he signed with WWE and The Miz. Okay, the internet would despise this. The internet hates Johnny Gargano being with The Miz. Imagine if Pentagon Jr. was The Miz's lackey. I mean, that'd be hilarious, but the internet would implode. Despite the fact that I could talk some about his booking name. But anyway, Sasha's still here. She's Naomi. I mean, I'm sure that made her happy. Carlito's here, despite no show in Puerto Rico where he got his giant pop. He did Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, and Riddle for the 24/7 title. Out for Riddle. Bianca defeated Nikki Ash and Aaliyah. Okay. Let's see here. Alexa Bliss defeated Rhea Ripley in a cage match. Interesting. And Asuka defeated Raquel Rodriguez and Carmella. And Natalie and Tamina defeated Becky Lynch and Dana Brooke to retain the women's. Okay. Again, for anybody who's unhappy about Becky being involved in the 24/7 title pitch for 3 weeks, she could be teaming with Dana Brooke and losing to Natalie and Natalia and Tamina. And then Queen Zelina defeated Safe Evans and Paul Cruz in the Hurt Business defeated Ezekiel and the Street Profits. And Dominic Mysterio stuck on the brief card fighting Bo Dallas. Fun stuff. If we look at NXT, they're just goofy because Kevin Nash is their booker. And so this was their, the main of their last show was Kevin Nash and Josh Briggs defeating Kushida and Brutus Creed. Sure. We also had Grayson Waller defeated Santos Escobar, which it would be a fun match. Alba Fry defeated Gigi Dolan. Sanga defeated Roderick Strong. Again, Ken Quinn and Skull and Bones, which I guess is hard. Yeah, okay, interesting. Io Shirai still stuck in NXT, but she defeated JC Jane and Tiffany Stratton at least. So that's interesting. Let's see here. Yulisa Leon defeated Wendy Chu, Ariana Grace, and Indy Hartwell. Okay, so Indy Hartwell, the Falling Sleep Girl, Santino's kid, and yeah, okay. Tane Packley's Lopez defeated Criminal Intent, which is Brooks Vaunter, and yeah, okay. They don't even have anything in here yet. Interesting. And then a bunch of undercard matches. Let's see here. Anything NXT level up? Nope. Leisure of Phasma are still stuck down here. Let's see. Julius Creed, Carmelo. I mean, that'd be a great match. The family is still getting pushed. Interesting. I mean, Jiro's still in NXT, so Sikoa is still in NXT. Let's see here. Yeah. Interesting. And then, of course, we'll check out New Japan real quick here. They had Power Struggle, so main evented by Goto and Ishii defeating Takagi and Naito. Kojima defeated Nagata to retain the King of Pro Wrestling. Takahashi defeated Kochi to retain the Never Openweight title. Michinoku and Yujiro won the Super Junior Tag Tournament. And I think, let me see here. Yeah, Okada's still our champion. Ishimori still our junior heavyweight champion. Yujiro and Jay White are your tag team champions, because why not? never openweight champion is to Hiromu. Yeah, I think that was it. Again, it's been just long enough. I forget what I've shown people before. Yeah, King's Pro Wrestling was Okada versus Naito. I remember, and then Takagi versus Kenta, Kojima, and Ishii. It's interesting because the game doesn't realize that even though like somebody like Kojima or Nagata are still good in ring, they're also basically put together with tape, so they push them hard. Ooh, Starbin, what's going on with New Japan? Hold on. News. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I mean, you own each other. I mean, that's interesting. Anyway, sorry, that was just interesting. Anyway. And then All Elite. Again, I just like looking the interesting booking and making jokes about how I actually am more interested in their booking here. So, let's see. Last show was, like October, right? I think, yeah. Anyway, they had their anniversary show, and it's an interesting show. So Britt Baker's still on the pre-show. Jamie Hayter defeated Abaddon and Yuki Suzuki. Taekwondoh Leaf Bates are still teaming. They defeated Nyla Rose and Kira Hogan. Paige Van Zant defeated Rio. Again, things the internet would hate. Thunder Rose defeated Anna Jay. Jane Martinez defeated Chris Statlander. Serena Deeb and Penelope Ford retained the TBS title. Fish O'Reilly defeated Reynolds and Silver to retain the AW tag titles. Okay. Keith Lee, Ortiz, and Santana defeated Tony Nese in the Dark Order tables match. MGF and Miro, who's still a team here, defeated the Young Bucks. I mean, that could all actually be interesting. And Andre Del Rio defeated John Moxley to retain the FTW title, because that's the title that matters, as opposed to being something for Hook to walk around with. And 78, and Brian Danielson won the AEW title, which is what should have happened in real life. Let's see here. Look over things. Dark. Wheeler Yuta is still part of the Best Friends. Dynamite, Punk versus Michael Nakazawa, main event at a Dynamite, which got 1.1 million viewers. What a world. Chris Dickinson showed up and won, defeated Samoa Joe because they're part of a Weird Alliance. Let's see here. Rampage, Bryan Danielson and CM Punk was on a random Rampage for the world title. Sure. Along with Young Bucks versus FTR. Again, I may have to go in the game eventually and make Rampage a B show, because these matches should not be on Rampages. Anyway, Dark was Dark. CM Punk and Chris Dickinson again teamed up to defeat Jericho and Hager. Joe defeated Omega, Page, and Ortiz. I mean, fun stuff. And then again, this UWN, I'll have to double check what it is. I'm guessing it's just like the Forbidden Door stuff. Rampage was FTR versus Reynolds and Silver. Let's see here. Dynamite was Jericho's going over Ortiz and Kingston. Well, at least that's an actual AEW booking for you. Fish and Riley defeated Young Bucks. FTR versus Reynolds and Silver. I mean, FTR with a random tag titles that don't matter, so they don't have to be put in the main event. Also, some actual AEW booking. And then Rampage was Dark Order versus, interesting. Again, let me look at this alliance, because now I'm curious. Alliance. Oh, okay. That's dumb. Like, why does this exist? Like, okay, now I'm curious if, like, was this part of the game to begin with? Or did AW actually do that? We go to companies. Yeah, we go to and then we would go to show history. No, not show history, sorry. We would go to news. And we go to alliances. There we go. Okay. So they randomly joined this network with Championship for Wrestling from Hollywood. Okay. I mean, that makes no goddamn sense. I'm sorry. The AI, gotta love it. Anyway, sorry, that was a total random thing I went off on a trail. But anyway, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like, comment below what you're enjoying, not enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for plenty of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WCW 2005 series, heading into our annual Mayhem tournament. Too late for you to make any picks about it, but it is what it is. And of course, stuff like hopefully some Paradox stuff, Journey of Wrestling, Basketball GM, and whatever else pops in my head. But that's it for now. So talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.